Hello, degenerates, and welcome back to another Smash Stories vlog. This time, we are actually going to be getting into the meat of how I first got inside the Smash community and like when I really started participating within the competitive scene. So obviously, this is going to focus mostly around the beginning of Smash 4 and what kind of led me into basically the position that I'm in now. But however, it's definitely changed a bit over time. So, as I mentioned before, I got into Smash throughout my childhood, and then, I was basically having a lot of my social groups like kind of centered around that. However, that was just like within people on UCF and people that I knew on my dorm floor, and that's how I was mostly playing it. So, you know, I got into college before Smash 4 came out, so it's like I started like around 2013, and then Smash 4 came out the year after. So at this point, it was my sophomore year, still just kind of going through the motions in college. And when the game did first come out, I was still mostly just playing with my friends. For the most part, like I had four other roommates, three other roommates. That was the fourth one, and basically we would all just kind of play whenever. And then I did start going to tournaments during that period. So like periodically, I would go out. As I mentioned before, this is like during the early days of Smash boards. So that's really how I got my information on finding out where the local scenes were. And I do remember there was this whole Reddit thread, and it still might even be saved to this day, where it kind of kept track of your local Facebook groups. And sometime later on, they added the Discord servers each one's for each region. So that way you could find out where your tournaments were and you could be part of your local scene. So when that first started, it was very rare that I would end up going to tournaments. It was like, maybe twice a month, maybe sometimes just once a month. But, I would go there, get there early, practice a bit, play, leave, and then I would come home. And, most of my practice was just with my friends. I had some friends that were like relatively on the same level as me within this game. So at that time, they were good like training partners for where I was at that very moment. However, it's like playing a character like Duck Hunt really did suck me in. So it's like I was trying to learn how to do like all these fancy things with him. So most of the time, I was relying on footage that was coming from Japan. As I mentioned, the Turasima one, which would sometimes have like brood footage there because like that was like really the only good duck hunt that you could watch. You could watch them, and then you could also watch Xanadu, where you had Denobro and Guy, and that was basically your pool. So Denobro and Guy definitely had way more footage out at that time, but just when you compared the skill level of them compared to Brood, it just wasn't the same. However, there were always merits to watching them. Like Denobro was like a very average solid player all around. Like he kind of knew how to control his neutral. He kind of knew what he had to do with Duck Hunt, and it was kind of good to watch him to learn that, like kind of on a more simplistic level to learn things. And then you had a guy who was the person that was going to experiment just with crazy things all around, and like his old labbing stuff that he had on Smashboards and on his YouTube channel is definitely like some of the foundations for a lot of our understanding of how Duck Hunt worked in terms of his projectiles and things that you could theoretically do with them as well. So while he's still not the best player in the world, very important in terms of that, and he's still doing kind of a lot of neat labbing work with Duck Hunt in Smash Ultimate. So unfortunately, can't really follow him. You just can kind of see him post things on the Duck Hunt Discord every now and then, because Smashboards is now dead. But back in the day, you would see some of that stuff pop up on Smashboards. Um, so this was like the 2015 period. So as I mentioned, I did go to Smash the Record the year before, and that was before Smash 4 came out. And then I went to Smash the Record 2015. And that to me is honestly one of the most important tournaments to me. So unfortunately, I never got to go to those earlier CEOs, but the reason why I like Smash the Record 2015 was important was it just proved to me how fun it was to actually go out to events and to be a part of them. I was there with one of my other college friends, which cool thing about that one's like I just randomly met him in my elevator at the dorm, and I've been good friends with him ever since. So we both went together. We ended up staying at the hotel there because like this event was super cheap. It was like I think it was like $40 a night to stay at the room there, so we could literally just go down, do some Smash things, and it was right along the International Drive. So if you ever been to Orlando, it's just kind of this giant strip where there's a lot of tourist traps, but there's also like a lot of restaurants and other things too that are kind of fun. So it's like you would never really be bored while you were there. And not to mention, they had really cool tournament formats there. So you had your regular tournaments set up, but they also did like a customs bracket as well. So if you did want to experiment more with that, then that was something that you could do, as well as like a myriad of other things too. Um, Off stream, they had a crew battle between like Central Florida and South Florida, I think, because that was a really big rivalry back in the day. Not as much anymore, but like that was really cool to see because it was basically just like a super giant huddle there. And if you've ever seen any footage of Florida tournaments, they're really crazy in terms of cloud noise and volume and just like yelling things at each other. And that was like really my first exposure to all of that there. And it was just a lot of fun. I remember I didn't do great in that tournament. Like I think I played melee, and then I did um I think it just was like a normal bracket in Smash the Record. Melee, I believe I went 0-2 because I was never good at Melee. And then I think I want to say for Smash 4, I went like 3-2 or I went 2-2. It was one or the other. So I didn't do great there either. But I got to play with a lot of people there. I played with a top player, so like that was like the first time that my mind really opened to what it was like to fight somebody that was on a much higher level than me. And I was really thankful to experience that too. Not to mention like some of the most like some of the funnest like matches took place there. Like Lucky versus West Balls for Melee is super memorable for just the amount of ridiculous stuff that happened. That was the first time I ever saw the Sacred Combo live, so it was great being there for that. That was like also where like Trella really came out and showed what Ryu could do, so that was really neat to see. Couple of other things too. The worst Falcon Punch ever. No, not the worst Falcon Punch. It was the worst shield break punish ever. So it was like this Ganondorf player broke a shield, and then he like missed the reverse Warlock Punch, missed an input it did a side B, and then only got like a flame choke as a punish off of that, which was the most embarrassing thing to ever see. And like some other people there that like played on stream would be people that I would eventually get to know a lot better later on in my life. And it was the first time that I really interacted and got to know more people from my local scene too. So like with all of those things there, being there with my friend, just like really learning more about how to play the game better, getting exposure to more matchups, and just like how fun everything can be when everybody's just really into it. And like, there wasn't like really any salt there, though probably was present. It was just an overall really fun atmosphere, and everybody was just excited to play the game and just do like wild, crazy stuff. Like this was a tournament for charity, so like people were like going like their secondaries, they were going for more wild plays and things like that. So everybody was there like just to have fun and a good time and to play as best as they possibly could too. And unfortunately, Smash the Record really never recaptured that same feeling again. Won't be talking about that in this video. That'll be in the next one. So after that point, that kind of solidified myself for really wanting to get better at this game and to get more involved with my local scene too. So I think I want to say like Smash the Record kind of took place in like mid-June. Let me just make sure, because then that can give me like a pretty good time period. Oh, actually, no, I was completely wrong. This took place in October, which actually makes a lot more sense. So it was after I went to this event, I got a lot more involved, and that's when like Discord was about to just kind of change the entire way that I interacted with everything. So from like October all the way to finding out about Discord, that's when I really got involved with the local scene. So there was like a couple of other Duck Hunt players there. So in particular, Paris ended up becoming like a really good friend of mine. So he was like my main duck hunt labbing partner that I had. So we would bounce ideas off of each other. And then there was also Wispe as well, which you might have seen her in a couple of my streams too. So she wasn't a duck hunt player; she was a Robin player, and then like kind of secondarying Corrin at the time. Um, so I found the people that like were more around my level that I could consistently play with. Also at this time, the scene was actually undergoing like a really positive change. So like a lot of people that were in it were actively really encouraging each other to get better and like really put in the work to get like better results, like just more like locally and then hopefully on the national/international scale as well when we decided to go out more to those big major events at that point. So there were basically fests going on every day. There was a tournament going on every single day as well. So it was like just a really overall healthy atmosphere for you to like learn a wide range of characters and to just kind of like better your game and just have more people to practice with. The one thing that was always kind of interesting about our region, though, is we were known for just having like a lot of like mid to low tier characters. So it's like we were always really ready for like the obscure matchups, but unfortunately, like we didn't really have too many top tier mains, and like the ones that we did have were like mostly okay. The big exception that we had was Dire with Diddy Kong. When he was playing well, he did really really good with that character. And then I think things slowly changed more on, but like, we had like Yoshis were running the region at one point. So it was definitely a very strange time. So by that time, then 2016 hits. And then that's when Discord first takes off. So at this point, that's when I joined the Discord and I get significantly more involved. If you go back on Smashboards and you look at like the Smash for Duck Hunt pages, you'll see that like I posted some things there, but like I wasn't really doing too much. That's when like I was able to get like instant regular communication with like all these different Duck Hunt players, and we had like the more important like local players there. So like Guy was in there. Danny Penguin was in there, and then we also had like Denobros in there, but he was never really too active. Some other ones too, like Ugamania as well. So this is where like I start like asking a lot more questions, figuring out what people have figured out, and like kind of like gauging what the whole duck hunt community was like. So the thing you need to remember is at this point, beginning of 2016, this is when the character is looked at very negatively. Like this is when he has like bottom five in the game. This is when like MVDs dropped him and basically went. I want to say he was like playing Diddy Kong at this point as well. And then Denobro was starting to play a lot more Mario as well, so we were having less representation with that. Also, like Duck Hunt was definitely better as a customs character, mostly because he had I forget the name of it. It was Zigzag Can. Zigzag Can was actually something that allowed Duck Hunt to kill really early. So basically, it would just like carry you off the top and explode you. So that was really good. So it's like he could kill consistently, like at 100% or sometimes even lower than that, depending on what stage that you were playing on. And also just like the way that it could just like cover like recoveries and all that stuff kind of made it insane too. But there were still merits to using like the regular Can too that sometimes made that one a lot better for certain matchups. So not having the customs meta anymore did kind of change around like people's like wanting to experiment with them. And then when I get more involved with the Discord, one of the things that I really wanted to address was just the overall lack of good duck hunt footage that we could find. As I mentioned, not a very popular character to play. And we didn't really have good players or just like good reliable like high quality footage that we could watch. And that's when I wanted to get really involved and I really wanted to push this character as much as possible. So one of the big reasons why I got so big in Discord was specifically for this. That topic's wrong, but the whole Duck Hunt Discord archive. So this is still a YouTube channel that you have very immediate access to. Fortunately, I don't really use it anymore because like there's not really a point to using it, but there's always a chance I might start it up again. And at first, this was just a YouTube channel I created. So the reason why like these two Snow White videos here and this was used for like a college course. I had to upload a flip book, and when I was in high school, I uploaded my National History Day documentary on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs here, just so people could have access to it and watch it. But yeah, so basically after that, this is when everything started. So you're gonna notice like a little trend at first. At first, there was this one update that they did for Smash for Wii U that was honestly very important, and it was allowing you to upload your replays to YouTube. So I synced this channel to it, and unfortunately, there was a huge limitation to it. Your replays that you could upload could only be like about 3 minutes in length. They could be a little bit longer than that, but if they went over that, like I want to say it was like 3:30, then it would say, sorry, video's too long, we can't upload it. So that was something that important that you had to have. So when I wanted to do like little guides and things like that, um, you had to upload it like this, and unfortunately you needed annotations, which are gone now. So unfortunately I can't tell you what I said, but basically I would like over here I was just mostly talking about how you could use wave bouncing and B reversing to help like um, with your movement over here on platforms. And like one thing in particular, which is still important in this game, is like particularly with doing wave bouncing gunman, just because like it's an automatic projectile blocker, which I feel like I'll probably show in a second. So like when I run off the platform, in this case, like with the can, that way you can bait it out, and that can also absorb attacks. But with gunman, by pushing like Duck Hunt backwards with the wave bounce, this gets you out of range out of any potential attacks that could come your way. And then also by not moving forward, you're ensuring that the gunman's going to body block the projectile. So I know I've talked about this in the gunman guide, but basically that's what I was trying to show off here, because, people weren't really advancing this character in any meaningful way. Then the next thing I did was, at first I was just mostly uploading my own videos and whatnot, and playing against the other Duck Hunt mains here. um, I also listed if it was like for glory and things like that. But then I started uploading all the group sessions that we did on the Duck Hunt Discord, and then I made some like playlists for each individual players that I would play a lot. So you can still go back and look up to see that's who some of those guys were. One of them's completely canceled, so I should probably remove that playlist. um, then the other thing too is like at this point, I think like when we got to like when we were fighting the Ganondorfs, I want to say I got involved enough that I was at a point where I was like at least a moderator. Something I should clarify is like I'm actually not the owner of the Duck Hunt Discord. It's just that I did so much for it that I was basically running it. Back in Smash 4, that ended up being true, and same with Ultimate. So I was helping a lot with like organizing like the Ganondorf crew battle in terms of like things that we would do. And then the one thing that I wanted to make sure that we were doing is that we were also like gathering footage of like all the different matchups and what that. So a lot more footage here. You could kind of like see the progression of like how I was improving, and then like I tried to get like a lot of like local footage as well of people that like I was fighting offline. So then that way we could get like a lot more better footage than just like Smash 4 Online. Like Smash 4 Online definitely was not the best. But like at least in terms of the experience of like getting matches, it was a little bit better than Smash Ultimate is. But I would say like the best connection is Smash Ultimate is probably still better than the best connections of Smash 4. If not, like they're about the same. So yeah, by establishing this, I was able to get like a huge. I was able to get like a huge archive of footage that people could reference. I was like, hey, do you want to see how I'm playing Duck Hunt? And here's this. Do you want to see how this player's playing Duck Hunt? And here's this, and all that stuff. So by having all of that, it was a very good resource for people to just kind of see what Duck Hunt players were doing and like how we were progressing things. So obviously we were not the best players in the entire world, but we worked with what we could. So eventually, one thing that I did get was I did get a capture card finally. So then that way I was able to record things in training mode. I was able to record much longer videos instead of like 30-minute things. So that was like a big change. And the other thing too was that with this, people were able to send me like their. Okay, cool. So yeah, my old commentary is here. Um, so with that change that happened, I was able to have people send their replays to me, and then I would be able to guarantee like upload all of those replays to the Duck Hunt Discord archive. So this way we could go back, we could look at their footage, and then I could help critique them. And that was actually another thing that I established too. Before we actually did not have an area that people could go back and critique people's matches. I remember that was like something that like I recommended that they should add. And by having the Duck Hunt Discord there, then that way I could record their footage, post it there. If I had the time to review it, I would review it and like tell them things that they could do. And then if I wasn't available, then there was somebody else that could go ahead and look at it and do that. We still have that there to this day. However, it's just like there's not too many people that are really critiquing there. It's mostly me, but we have some. Like Wisdom's been like really really good in going out there and giving his thoughts on people's gameplay. Also, Pyro's Magic's also done a pretty good job of doing that too. So yeah, so this all happens. 2016 is going pretty good and all that stuff. And then we do get like something very important that happens. You know, Genesis 3 was like this huge revival of an old major that had not existed for a very long time. Like remember Genesis 2 happened like a long time ago. The Genesis 3 was a big deal because like it was like one of the first big majors for Smash 4, and it was just the return of Genesis in general, which is in some respects like the Super Bowl of Smash. And Genesis 3 was a huge hit and everything. Unfortunately, not really much in terms of Duck Hunt presence there, but it was an important event that everybody was taking advantage of. But then Genesis 4 comes around and that's announced. And this is like one of the big primary aspects that really kind of separated the Duck Hunt Discord apart and the Duck Hunt community apart from a lot of other character communities out there, especially on Discord. When we looked at the Genesis 4 Smash page, we noticed something that was there that was not getting like any attention whatsoever. And that was a little, it was like one of the donation compendiums that was available on there that basically had zero traction. And it was kind of odd to me for a number of reasons. First of all, it included 4 Japanese players on there, and basically all of them were just of obscure characters. Fortunately, I think it's a little hard to read what it said. Let me see. Because, okay, unfortunately, this is all that we get now. But basically, on this compendium page, you were going to get 4 players to come here. So it wasn't like one where it's like, oh, we're only getting 1 player. No, you're getting 4 players for the price of 1 compendium. So this included Brood, Raito, Yusan, and Rima. So Brood, Raito, and Yusan, these were the big 3 Japanese Duck Hunt players. So Brood was the first one, and basically like the teacher to the other ones. And if you aren't familiar with Brood, he's an old school legend. Like he was the one that put Olimar on the map back in Brawl, and then he was the one that actually put Duck Hunt on the map kind of on an international scale back in Smash 4, and then he's basically put like Piranha Plant on the map in Ultimate with the fact of like his second place performance over at Umaburo, which was utterly insane. And if you go watch that, I am commentating that. I know I've mentioned that in the past, but that is something that's happening. So when I saw this, I think it had something like $10 donated to this, and like the compendiums had been out for like a month, and I think there was like 2 or 3 weeks to get it filled in order for them to come. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. We need to get this thing out there. We need to get people to know about this. So basically, this started out like the whole culture of the Duck Hunt Discord, just rallying everybody together and then getting everybody like donate it and just spread the word just everywhere possible. As far as like the marketing goes, that was mostly just me by myself. But obviously, I have to give credit and kudos to everybody in the Duck Hunt Discord that decided to chip in and help them get out there, all their retweets and wherever they decided to post it. So basically, at first, I did like an ad everybody on the Discord. I was like, hey, this is serious. If we get this funded, this is going to be a wealth of like knowledge and data that we are never going to get again if we do not get this funded. Then I went on, the Smash Reddit, and then I went on the Smash Facebook group. I also posted my local Facebook groups as well. And then, I advertised like, hey, do you want to see really good Japanese players of Duck Hunt, a character that you never see, and of Toon Link, which is the one that was somewhat rising in popularity because of like certain players doing pretty well with the character. So obviously when you hear Japanese player of unknown character, a lot of people at least have some interest in that. And like I did make sure to emphasize, these were like some of the best players. So like obviously I already just talked about Brood, but Yusan at this point was considered the best Duck Hunt out of all of them, because like he was just doing like he was just performing really well in general, like getting a lot of top 8 placements like offline and online, and he just had like a wildly different way of playing this character. Like Yusan is a crackhead type of player, and he goes for wild things, to his own detriment. But like when he got his things, like he would just kill early. And then we had Raido, which he was a player. When you looked at him, he was average. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. He was just a decent Duck Hunt player. And like, whenever he came out to majors here, he got like 49th. So unfortunately, he was never put on stream. Like he was just not anybody notable at that time. It was just like average Duck Hunt player. Might be cool to see. But, the more the merrier at this point. Rima was a really good Toon Link player. I think at this time he was still considered the second best, because I think we had Sigma putting in the work with that character in Japan at that time. So couldn't call him the best, but he was definitely like top 2 over there. So luckily, the marketing that I did for it worked, and, the goal got completely funded and everything. And like once that was set in, like there was no question about it. I was going to go to Genesis 4. So I got really lucky in that I did have some other people that were in the Duck Hunt Discord that were going to attend. This wasn't really the first like Duck Hunt house that we did, but it was a meetup. Like I only ended up rooming with like my sister because she was somewhat into Smash, and then just like one of the other Duck Hunt members. So basically, we all go there, and this is the first time that I get to talk with them, and they were interested in meeting the US Duck Hunt players. So the funny thing is, at the time, the first time that I go ahead and I see them all, so most of these players just kind of have like anime profile pictures. So honest to God, like besides Brood, who had like a wiki page where I could see what he looked like, I had no idea what any of them looked like. But we did reach out to them on Twitter to see if they were interested in doing an American versus Japanese Duck Hunt player crew battle. So we were at least able to get that set up. So they at least knew who I was, but they didn't know exactly what I looked like. The good thing, though, is because of the gaming club that I had back in UCF, I did have a shirt that had my tag on the back of it, so I could just show them that, and they knew who I was. So that worked out really nicely for me. In fact, God, I haven't worn that in so long. I used to wear it, like, if I was ever playing in tournament, like, that was the shirt that I always wear, so, little memories with that. So I remember the first player that I was able to find was Yusan, just because, like, he wears, like, a little bit more flashy clothes in general, kind of like, not Ed Hardy, but, like, kind of clothes that look a little bit like that, like a lot of, like, golden colors just, like, on darker shirts and whatnot. So he was very easy to pick out from the crowd there, and obviously Japanese player playing Duck Hunt. It was 1 of 3. He wasn't Brood, ended up not being Raido, and then that's how that happened over there. Let me see if I can find these photos from Genesis. Okay, cool. All of them are right here. So yeah, I met Yusan the first day. I think I'd met Raido too, and then I don't remember if I got to see Brood or not. I want to say I said hi to all of them. I remember at the time I was seeing if, like, MVD was interested in joining. He wasn't sure. But it was an introduction day. I got to explore San Jose and all that stuff, practice, good time. And then, pools happen. Fortunately, I didn't make it out. And then I don't think any of my friends did. Um, none of them did. But there was one U.S. Duck Hunt player that made it out. He was by the name of Koshian, which he was like a really early like coach back in the day in Smash 4. He used to stream a decent amount too. So he was the highest placing U.S. Duck Hunt there. He made it out like loser side there, and then I think he lost like his round one afterwards. But yeah, unfortunately, he decided not to participate in the crew battle too. I think he was just doing stuff with his friends there. But it kind of ended up working out. And then, history was made there. The things that I mentioned about bringing these Duck Hunt players over here was 100% true. Because if we did not fund them, one of the things, well, I normally don't want to talk about him. One of the most important things about Smash 4 is always going to be the storyline of Zero versus whoever defeats him. And of course, one of the biggest all-time upsets that happened was Brood defeating Zero there, which was an absolutely insane mess. I do believe you could hear my voice if you go back and you watch that VOD. I'm screaming like Brood baby and things like that. And I did like freak out like crazy the second that he beat him and everything. Of course, congratulate him after that. And then of course we had Brood versus Zenodo, which was like one of the tightest like closeouts of a game where Zenodo ended up getting carried off by the Town and City platforms over there, which was shown in a lot of highlight reels. And then, the commentators got who lost that game wrong until they saw the slow motion replay, which was really funny to see too. So those are to me are still some of the best like Smash 4 sets that you can go back and watch. And Brood really showcased what this character could do. At this point, like people still thought the character wasn't great, but like they showed that he could fight. The main thing is like people were kind of chalking it up more to like matchup inexperience, but like that was definitely a huge eye opener for a lot of people. Unfortunately, Brood and Yusan, they did get to play on stream like once during Pools Day, but unfortunately they didn't get to play on stream after that. I basically had to go there and I had to record their footage, or it was like one of my other friends recorded them off stream so we could see what happened to them. But it was also important for me to be there because the reason why that all of those players played on stream was because one of the people there that was managing the streams happened to be a friend of mine from the Duck Hunt Discord, and I told him like, hey, for the stream, make sure you get these players on there so people can see what this character can do. Otherwise, they're going to be ignored. And because they got placed on there, people got to see really cool Duck Hunt things that they never got to see before. They did not know where the Japanese meta was progressing and what these characters were capable of doing. And not to mention that the Zero versus Brood set may not have been played on stream if I was not there to make that happen. And also my friend that was there to put them on stream anyways as well. So, we were very fortunate that we were able to get all those things happen. The unfortunate thing about that tournament was Raito and Yusan had to fight each other in losers bracket. So I think Raito ended up getting 49th there and, losing in the Duck Hunt Ditto. Raito was historically really, really bad at tournaments where he had to play that Ditto. It was just something about it specifically in tournament bracket always screwed him up. Not sure why, but it was just a thing that happened. Because he wasn't bad in the Ditto. Especially like the proof of like all the matches that we played afterwards. So what ended up happening was, eventually all of them lost. And on, I want to say it was Saturday, because I think Sunday was just top 8. That's when we decided to have the crew battle, which I will show you here. So, this was the setup that we were going with. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, the one U.S. Duck Hunt player that did make it out of pools, unfortunately, he had other commitments. He went to that. MVD got knocked out, and he wasn't feeling good, so he didn't want to join for that either. But yeah, no. So this was everybody. So there's me on the left, Jackie Peanuts in the middle. So he was the guy that was like able to help out with like all the stream stuff, and then a friend of mine over here, Greg. He's not really part of the community anymore, but like really cool guy. Loved hanging out with him, but he was like a part of like the really early Duck Hunt stuff. And then we have these three people here, Raito, Brood, Yusan. And this was the crew battle. You can go on the Duck Hunt Discord archive and rewatch it to see what it was like. Quick note about this laptop here. It was actually kind of the GOAT. Unfortunately, Alienwares no longer do this. But this was like the last model where it allowed you to plug in the HDMI into it and it would act as a monitor. So it was a really easy portable setup to have that would allow for streaming automatically too. So basically you'd run the stream, you'd have your capture card and record everything. I'm so mad that they no longer do this because this thing was great. So if you do go back and you watch the stream, we got our asses handed to us so badly. Basically, the crew battle was one Japanese player versus 3 Americans, and if we could beat them before all of us were out, that was good. So, like, Raito demolished us, completely demolished us. It was amazing playing him, and it was weird too, because, like, you know, he was so good, but unfortunately, he just kind of, like, struck out at pretty much every tournament that he went to. And then I guess it's this way. Then we played Yusan next, and the funny thing is we actually beat him. It was just I think Jackie and me, and then that took out Yusan, and then Brood demolished us too. Like I had not gotten myself beat as badly as like fighting Redo and Brood. Like they were absolutely incredible players at that time. But one thing that was really neat was that you know, Raito in particular really wanted to communicate with us. He wanted to learn what we were doing and things that he could do to help improve himself as well. So, like, you know, he just wanted to get better as a player, and he was just really, really hungry about it. He lives like in the similar precinct as Brood, so he was able to communicate with him quite a lot, and I think that's like where a lot of his earliest teachings came from and whatnot. And then of course, like these players did communicate a lot more with like helping advance the meta like back in the day. So, you know, that was great. At this time, Raito did not know like any English at all. Like he might have known like yes, no, and that was about it, and okay. But like we had a translator there, so thankfully he really helped us communicate with him, and then that's how we were able to really make a lot of progress with doing a lot more with them. So then the next tradition that we started was always taking the group photo, and then we would always do the govern pose to finish it off. So, and basically all of the Duck Hunt meetups that we did, we always did little photo shoots like this. So it was fun, and you know, this was the beginning of everything. From here, you know, I did talk to all of these players, and I asked them if they wanted to come back to the States to compete again. So one thing that sucks about Brood is because of his work schedule and all that stuff, the only time he's ever going to be able to come out here to an American event is going to be in January until like maybe he switches to a different job. But like pretty much if you are ever going to see Brood at a major, it's going to be a Japanese one or it's going to be Genesis, and he's basically locked to that. So that was his thing. At the time, Yusan was going to university and like some other things were going on, but basically this was like the one time that he was really able to make it out. And then like after this, like he was doing good in Japan, but like he never came to the States, and there was like a bit of a decline with him at that point. But Raito, he was the one that's like, I want to come out to the States and I want to improve as much as possible. So, you know, that's when we had our discussions and everything. And then, you know, we invited them all to the Duck Hunt Discord. And we invited the translator too, so that way we could communicate properly with all of each other. And, you know, that was really good for helping like push the meta between all of us to really figure out things and figure out what our next plan was going to be for our next event. And in this case, while Genesis 4 was the one that got everything started, I still consider CEO Dreamland to be like my favorite event and the most important one in terms of like just duck hunt history in general. And with that being said, that is where I'm going to have to end this story for now. The next part is going to be the rise of Raito, and particularly why CEO Dreamland is very, very, very important for the entirety of the duck hunt community, and just how things would progress from there for this character in Smash 4. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you for staying to the end of this video as well. Before I do go, I do want to mention that we do have these finally created carried by dinner masks. So if you want to show your Duck Hunt support in spirit, you can now get these on the Duck Hunt Discord store, and they do come in a variety of colors. Black, gray, white, blue, and red. So whatever suits your fancy, you can go ahead and do that. Pair it up with yourselves. Would be a great support to me and the entirety of the community as well. So consider checking those out if you want. And also, you'll look stylish in this pandemic. So all good things all around. So that's going to be the next part of the Smash Stories. Will be the talk of that. Then after this, I am still working on this like tips to improve your duck hunt guide. So the script's done for it. I just need to record the footage for it. So then either be today or tomorrow that should get finished. But I am kind of busy with a lot of things. Don't forget, tomorrow I'm also planning on doing the critique stream. Had to be moved back because of a lot of things going on. It is still planned for tomorrow, but there is a chance it might have to get pushed back again. It just really depends what ends up happening later on today. But, stay tuned here, stay tuned on Twitter, stay tuned on Discord, and that's where you'll know everything best. And whatever I update on the Twitch schedule is what it's going to be, so you don't have to second guess that. Don't forget, we do have the sub goal on Twitch, so if you are watching that again, if we do reach 10 subs, that's when I will release my Duck Hunt matchup chart as well. So all things to keep in mind. And yeah, so once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you like the video, dislike if you didn't care about it. Comment on anything else you want me to touch upon. If there's any part of the Duck Hunt community history that you want to know about, let me know down in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to provide insight to you, or I'll comment that's going to be covered in a later video. I'll definitely make sure I take them all into consideration and answer them appropriately as I can. So with that said, hope you guys are staying safe out there and take care of yourselves until the next one.